What's that? What's that thing? What's that dude? The guy's name? I can't remember. His tagline is already recorded. He has like that hit record.
Oh right.
And stuff.
Yeah.
That's how he starts all his videos.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. I love it.
Matt thinks he's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I wish I was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That guy.
He wrote a movie where he was dating Scarlett Johansson. He has his own TV show, and
he was in Inception, a major character in Inception. He was a minor character in The Dark Knight.
That's time to produce our own things. Hi, everybody. This
not
is
going to be as good. Just a heads up.
Here's your expectations. Put them down here.
It's safer though. Everyone,
you protect your heart. Alpha Nerds. This is the first episode, and how it basically breaks down is that every episode there is an alpha nerd and a beta nerd. Sometimes it will be Matt. Sometimes it will be me. My name's John. Hi. And the idea is that the alpha nerd is more nerdy, more into one thing than the other person. The object of the show is to get the other person to be an alpha nerd by the end of the episode. So today, with our first episode, we're going to be watching documentary Strip. Strip is a documentary about the transition from print comics to web comics, and cartoonists and how this has affected their careers. And the reason I picked it is because I'm really into Penny Arcade, this video game-based comic strip on the internet, and I'm so into it that I've been annoying the crap out of my friend Matt here.
I don't know anything about Penny Arcade.
So he's going to learn, and hopefully by the end of watching the documentary, I'll have made Matt a believer, if not in Penny Arcade, at least in the comic strips. Before we get into it, can you give me like your opinion of comic strips in general, and like how they compare comic books to you?
It depends. It depends on a lot of things. Like what's your definition of comic strips? And like the Sunday morning papers stuff?
Right.
Garbage.
Well, like, okay, so one difference, we do comics together, we're graphically Christian, that's our website, and, we both got into comics around 2008 with The Dark Knight, but, comic strips are basically, most of them are about, humor. They're focused on making a joke, and that's their main thing.
Which is why I don't like them. Not that I don't like them. I guess it's just I don't appreciate them.
Yeah, you don't appreciate them as much as you would like a comic book.
No, I don't. I just don't. I recognize how there's a level of challenge in it, and like creating the humor and actually being humorous and having good jokes. But I just feel like it's just not worth my time.
My opinion is basically that I don't like it as much as I do other narrative forms. I do like telling a story that has a beginning and an end, basically. But there's one thing that I like about comic strips, it's that when you get into like the characters and you read it for a long period of time, you start getting an idea of like this world that is sort of set up, and I think it does that pretty well, especially stuff like Peanuts and some of those sort of classic strips that somehow you get an idea of the world even though you only get like 3 pounds a day. So we're going to watch the documentary, and we'll be back to tell you how we feel about it. See you.
I hate it.
It's a little scary for us because we're cartoonists. We're not financiers and we're not entrepreneurs generally.
Imagine if you're us. I made it in syndication. I did something that is a 1 in a 36,000 shot.
You got in the NBA.
I got in the NBA. All of a sudden, the stadium is collapsing.
Get with the times, old man.
So how was your divorce?
What? Where did that go from?
It's an example of a bad interview question. After watching this movie,
right,
do you feel any different in terms of the media? Do you like
I feel like I'm informed. I feel like I know.
Well, that was
yeah, I feel like I know a lot more about it.
Right.
Does this make me
so you respect it a little bit more?
Oh, I mean, I've always respected it. I just had no interest in it as a consumer.
Right.
I just had no interest in watching it or reading it or whatever, really. I mean, I always knew it took a lot of work and it's a lot of effort. And I have a tremendous amount of respect that people who do it, they make money off it because it's just the amount of work you can put in is just so much more. But it doesn't make me want to go out. Just surf into the web and just go with a bunch of them.
Right. I mean, I think like I really like Penny Arcade. I got recently at the library. I got the Essential Calvin and Hobbes, and I read some of that, and that's pretty cool. I like how imaginative the kid is, and how it sort of breaks the fourth wall that way. But like you, it's not my favorite medium. Comic strips are what they are, and I like the stylistic choices made in them. I like the cartoon style. I like, short humor. I think that's an interesting thing. And I don't think that the movie made me respect it any more than I did before either. Because I knew about syndicates and about how, now that newspapers are dying out, it's a lot harder for people that want to get a comic strip job to get their stuff out there.
I don't think that webcomics are the answer.
You mean the newspapers are paying me for my funny pictures?
That's dollars, the web is pennies.
In terms of it changing, in terms of comic strips dying out, I don't really think that it's going to die out. Matt was sort of talking about how, who knows whether, people doing online newspapers now, whether they're going to see all these people that want to do comics and try to pave a way for them.
Yeah.
Try to give them a space on the internet.
You ever go on HuffPost's site and see how many tabs they have now? It's
insane. There's so many different little niche audiences they're trying to get to.
That started out primarily, I believe, as a political blog, kind of. Just a very serious type blogging type newspaper type thing. People didn't know exactly what it was when it first started out, so it was one of the first ones. But now you go on it and it's just they got a picture of the Kardashians up there, and just they have entertainment and social pages and games pages and TV pages and music pages, and it's just it's effectively a full-fledged newspaper at this point.
What I've done is I've eliminated all the middlemen.
This is how people consume things. They don't read newspapers anymore.
So it makes a whole lot of sense to me that they would just make offers to strip creators and just be like, hey, and they're talking about how these strips blew up in a month. They got 6,000 followers in a week.
Right.
That's insane. It doesn't happen these days. It doesn't happen to anything. That only happens at the birth of a medium, the birth of the YouTube scene, and then the digital strips.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd say it's going. And my last question, sort of for you and for both of us, I think, is where I see it going is that there's all these people like HuffPost that are trying to create a new space for multimedia information and trying to get to every niche audience possible. And I think
people are looking at BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed's every post is just trying to pander to some fan.
Right, but that was such a new thing too, and I'm glad you brought that up because BuzzFeed was they're basically articles, but they're just memes.
Not even that, yeah, they're not even articles.
They're memes with little captions on them.
Yeah.
And so if there are people that can do that in some way with comic strips, or you and me, my question is sort of how did this documentary make you think differently about art? And for me, what it made me think about is that, there are all these little revolutions that happen, and then people think, oh, well, this thing is dead. But I feel me and Matt do a magazine called The Gauntlet, and I feel it's just a matter of time until magazines are going to have a resurgence on the internet, or at least that there will be, people that don't want to just do a comic strip. They don't just want to do little articles. They want to do bigger collections of people making stuff, whether that's cartooning or writers. And so to me, it makes me think about people like that want to do something bigger with words and pictures on the internet.
I think the real way to try and make it on the internet, or try to make your thing in a digital form, and try to make it the Wild West that is the internet, although it's not as wild as it used to be, is to just figure out what you're doing, figure out how to do it well in a professional way, and that it's something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and then just keep pounding it, keep hitting it, keep just pounding the internet pavement, so to speak, until you find a place where it works. Until you find conditions where conditions that are primed for the success of your product. Things will kind of just either were non-existent before or extremely small scale, and then the right conditions just come into place, and then they explode. And that's like the only way the internet really works in terms of media, new mediums and stuff like that. It doesn't, things don't really build like seeds over time. The conditions just get perfect, or just get in the right shape. All certain things just line up. Things just happen, and then someone produces this thing, and then boom, content explosion.
As Matt said, I agree with that. Like, it's a marriage of creativity and the saturation of certain technology that is prime for that medium. This will be us talking about. We do our site radicallychristian.com, and it's just sort of a marriage of our love for God and our love for comics and art and film.
Maybe we can't talk about that yet. that super secret project. Hey, now I've always been wanting to get in a position where YouTubers, they frustrate their audience by saying a super project.
Something's coming. We're not going to talk about it.
It's. I'm not going to lie. It's very satisfying to be on this end of the camera and say we have a secret project that I can't talk about. All the YouTubers apologize for it, but I think they secretly enjoy it.
They like it.
I think they love saying stuff like that.
They know what it is.
You never have to worry about me lying to you guys. I'll be brutally honest.
One thing that we know is coming, because it's already done, is our first issue of The Gauntlet, which will be coming out later in June. But for those of you in the Philadelphia area, me and Matt are going to be at Wizard World Philadelphia under the banner of graphicallychristian.com at the Artist Alley section.
Later in June.
In the middle of June. So
19th to the 22nd is kind of later.
The point is that we're going to be at Wizard World Philadelphia, so if you want to see us, and if you want to get an exclusive first copy of The Gauntlet issue #1, you can do that. It has a lot of great Christian poetry, short stories, and short stories, not comic strips. But if you want to check out that magazine or see more of what we do, you can come to that. Otherwise, we're at graphicallychristian.com. And that's it for the first episode of Alpha Nerds. See ya.